Hello, fellow YouTubers, and welcome to this special video. Now, up to this point, in my 8-9 years of YouTube, I had never once completed an Ocarina of Time playthrough on this channel, or any of my channels. Today, that changes. This channel will be host to the only complete Let's Play of Ocarina of Time that I have ever done. Before I get started, I guess while the beginning's doing its thing, let me just say that I have gotten suspiciously close to beating this game before on this channel, on an old channel. But it wasn't meant to be. I've been doing it on an emulator and a ROM, and I got to the water temple, the room. After you get the long shot, there's a room, and you have to use your bow to shoot a switch, and use the long shot to fly you over there. But due to the limitations of the ROM and emulator, it was pretty much impossible for me to do. That being said, though, there is a way around that, because all that path leads you to is a small key, but you don't necessarily need that small key, which I didn't learn until years later. So, this channel, this YouTuber, Mudlup, has never completed an Ocarina of Time playthrough on his channel. The reason I bring all that up, because Ocarina of Time is my favorite game. I've been on YouTube since 2007, I want to say. So this year will be my 9th year on YouTube, and I've never finished a playthrough of my favorite game of all time. I've done playthroughs of lots of games, but I've never finished Ocarina of Time. And that is a travesty, which we will be correcting in this series. Now, I think I've kind of spun my wheels enough at this point to kind of waste time during the crappy beginning part. And I guess it's not really crappy, it's just kind of... after you've played through this game a couple times, the beginning's kind of... not bad, not good, it's just kind of there. And that was one thing I wish they had for this game, would be skippable cutscenes. Because the fact you can't skip cutscenes makes this game a lot longer, and not really in a good way. There's only so many times I want to read about how the hero of Hyrule, depending on such a lazy boy. There's only so many times, and I'm sure most of you feel that way too. I also want to point out 2 more things before we get started. 1, I named my link DeAndre. If you are a longtime subscriber to this channel, you will know why I did. And if not, you're gonna find out probably when I beat Queen Goma. If you get that far, which hopefully you will, because this should be a fun playthrough. That's all I'm saying. It should be. I mean, it's not gonna be anything super spectacular, but it leads me into my second point. I wasn't sure how to do this playthrough, because I could do it as a normal playthrough, and I don't know how long it would take me to beat the game, but it'd be completely doable, and it'd probably be pretty boring. I mean, that's what it's gonna end up being, I think, because there's really only so much you can do to spice up this game at this point. It's probably been the most Let's Played game probably ever at this point on YouTube, because it's just such a good game. I mean, I would imagine that, like Until Dawn's probably up there now. FNAF is probably up there. And there's probably a lot of games up there like that. But in reality, it's probably Ocarina of Time. So there was really no way I thought I could make this interesting. I was debating doing a 3-heart run, but I decided against it, because I figured it would kind of make it more annoying. So I've reworked it just a wee bit. With all of this being said, and I know it's not making much sense at this point because I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm thinking we probably will end up doing a 3-heart run, and I'm going to hate myself for doing that because there are going to be certain points in this game where I imagine the fun level will drop drastically because I'll be silent as can be trying to get through parts. But I figure that will be way more interesting than having me sit here and just kind of talk over the best game of all time. I mean, that's just my thought. Feel free to disagree, and if you disagree, more than likely I've probably already recorded all of the gameplay before the first episode gets put up. So, sadly, I won't be reading your comment. Well, I mean, I will read your comment, but it'll be too late. If there's like a crazy urge for me to play it in some other way, then sorry. I will be using fairies, don't get me wrong. I love fairies. Fairies are great. And I do think I'll be playing the game a little bit out of order. And I hope that doesn't bother too many people. But there are certain orders for things I like going in. For instance, I like doing the Fire Temple before the Forest Temple. I feel like the difficulty for the dungeons works out better that way. And whether you agree or disagree, I mean, that's all fine, but that's just the way I view it, that the Fire Temple is easier and kind of more fun to play through. So, we've got enough rupees. We don't mean to target on that random chick. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna buy our shield so we can hurry up and get into the dungeon. And this girl wants DeAndre's attention, but DeAndre got all the bitches. He ain't need her attention. And if you didn't know, there's a blue rupee that hides back there. I didn't know that for the longest time. And really, you figure you can get done all of this pretty quickly. I mean, we're only, what, 8 minutes in? We got the sword and the shield. And then we'll be stocking up on supplies to go and investigate the Deku tree, which should be pretty quick too. I figure within the first 2 parts, we'll be going to Hyrule. Because the beginning of this game doesn't take very long at all. It really doesn't. But anyway, we're going to talk to Fatto right here. I want to say it's Fatto. But we ain't like Fatto, he's a fatty. And we're going to actually get started. We're going to go straight through. The other thing I like doing the well before Dodongo's Cavern. Because there's really no reason not to. You're already there. You can get the Lens of Truth super early. You might as well. I mean, that's just my mindset. Again, agree, disagree. It's all good. I'm not going to be angry if you think, oh, well, you're doing it the wrong way. But I'm figuring with me doing it in the order I'm going to be doing it in, I might do a video during this playthrough where I discuss the top 5 glitches in this game. Because they're not really like glitches, but they kind of are. And if you're wondering why I'm farming these Babu Babus, or whatever they're called, let's see if they're called Babu Babus. Baba. Deku Baba. If you're wondering why I'm farming them, it's because really I don't want to spend any time later on in the game being low on Deku sticks. There's really no point because we can get as many as we want right now. It just makes more sense that way. Really, we don't need that many, but I'd rather have too many than not enough. And that's just the way I play games. Sorry if that bothers anybody. Now we're talking to the Great Deku Tree, who really sucks. I mean, he's kind of cool, I guess. Cooler than Wind Waker, I think, but yeah, and he's talking to us about our nightmares, and it's really boring because this game's beginning dialogue is really boring. Like, in general, the dialogue, like, I don't know, I think this is the greatest game of all time, without question. But I think the story leaves a lot to be desired. Like, I've really got to think that most Zelda games have a better story. Maybe it's just me, but, I mean, you think about it, like, Wind Waker, there's at least the premise of, oh, there was a great flood. That's pretty interesting. Ganondorf kind of becomes a good guy instead of a bad guy. And then in this game, it's kind of like, nope, we don't really have anything cool like that. It's just kind of save the princess, awaken the saviors. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad story. I'm really not, but it leaves a lot to be desired, especially when you play other Zelda games and you realize that Nintendo has the ability to make way better stories than this. But I mean, I guess sometimes the tried and true is the way to go. That's just my thought. I'm not wrong with going with the tried and true. People badmouth cliches and common choices because it's like, oh, well, they've been done before. But sometimes they've been done before because they make sense. Like, why do we have Shadow Link in the Water Temple? If anybody feels like explaining that to me, feel free to in the comment section. But I've never understood it. Wouldn't he make more sense in, I don't know, the Shadow Temple? I mean, that's just my thought. I hadn't really thought about it much before the other day. And then when I started thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, it makes no sense where it is now. No sense at all. I don't want to talk about that enemy. We're going to want to go over to this room over here and get our slingshot. And then we might be done the video after that. We might. But there are a lot of cool little tricks I've learned playing this game and watching people play it on YouTube where it might make for an interesting video. So like if you do that, he has no chance of getting away. You get him done super fast. All I gotta do is push his attack back and then jump slash at him. Preferably the roll, but jump slash works pretty well too. And we don't really care what he's saying because he's an idiot. Just the bottom line, he's an idiot. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. We didn't really need that heart, but we got it anyway because that's what we do. Now, conventional wisdom says to land on the platform. But if you don't, you can actually breeze through the game just a wee bit faster. Because now you don't have to equip your bow and aim at that, at the ladder hanging on the ceiling. You don't have to do any of that. Because it's already been done. The platform still sits there. It's not like the game changes to make it to where you have to shoot it down anyway. It just falls because you land on it. So if you do this, you actually get done just a little bit faster. And we all love getting things done just a little bit faster. So we have the map, we have the slingshot, and I want to say there's a treasure chest with like a piece of, well, not with a piece of heart, with a heart in it. So we're just going to grab that while we're here, because why not? Not like we're going to ever come back this way. So like normally you'd have to shoot the ladder, but if you do this, you don't. And you get them to build the room way faster, and just in general, I think it makes more sense to do it that way. First few playthroughs, though, you don't really notice it that way, but... We got our bow, or not our bow, the slingshot. And see, super easy. This dungeon in general is really super easy. Doesn't take very long to get through at all. Like, I mean, literally, it takes like 15-20 minutes tops. Especially the first, like, 3-4 floors. They're just kind of there. It isn't until you get to the basement that I think you get to, like, the truly iconic, and I put that in air quotes, iconic parts of this dungeon. But that's just me. I don't know how we want to do the gold Skulltulas, if we want to do them later in one big video, or if we're not going to collect all those Skulltulas. I don't really think we should, because Skulltulas suck. But if there is a need or a desire for me to get all the Skulltulas, tell me, and I will make videos collecting all 100 of the stupid gold Skulltulas that nobody actually cares about. We almost died on a freaking wild Babu. I don't even know if that enemy has a name. But we're gonna go for that treasure chest because why not? We're here. And I think there's a Skulltula over there. So it makes things a little easier later. Because I don't really feel like going back through this dungeon later on. I don't I'd rather be able to get at least the big wallet before we get to get Epona. Which, to be fair, we might not even get. I don't really... I mean, we probably will by the time we're getting to that point of the game where I'm like, okay, let's 100% everything. But until we get to that point, I don't think we will get Epona, because Epona sucks. I mean, I get why everybody loves Epona, and Epona is Epona. Don't get me wrong, but she isn't necessary. And we've broken down into the bottom floor. We still got 3 minutes left on this video. So let's see what else we can get done real fast. Man, I don't know why I cannot. But I'm trying to get him to where he drops the Deku nuts. That way we can max out on those. That's another thing we don't have to worry about later on. I always find it odd that they leave these two Skulltulas like right in the same room. There's no reason for it. I don't think you can get it that way. But it was worth a shot. No harm in stepping on the switch yet. So now we've got our second gold Skulltula. Again, this dungeon, super easy. I don't know why anybody would ever have any trouble with this dungeon at any given point. I mean, maybe if you got confused on how to go down to the basement, maybe. But everything else, pretty self-explanatory. I might just make the first part of this series a little extra long, like 25 minutes. That way we can get at least to the Goma fight. Oh, whoops. And then we'll start the Goma fight in the next video. That means we'll be able to get to, at the very least, Zelda in part 2. Which should hopefully clear out some of the annoyances. Man, and see, you don't even have to touch them. They just give up. Forgive me, master. I'm not your master. I'm freaking DeAndre. That's what I am. And I'm just that good. 231. This number has stuck with me through life. Whenever I see 2s, 3s, and 1s in the same area, I always think that. Which is kind of weird if you think about it. Like, the weird things that get stuck in your life. Regardless, we're just breezing through this. We're still only 18 minutes into this video. Let's see if I can make this work. I had seen a way to where you don't have to hit the switch, because I don't like being in water. Being in water in this game sucks. So we're gonna try to skip it. See if we can do that. Nope, I failed. We'll just hit the switch. But there's a way where you can time it to where your jump will completely flip over the spiked gate thing. I don't know what you want to call it. Spiked bar. And then if you do that, you don't have to jump down and hit the switch, which saves you just a wee bit of time, because that's what people who play this game, like, super seriously do. But I'm not really good at a bunch of those things. There's some of them I've managed to learn, but a bunch where it's just like, no matter how much I try, I can't do it. And that was one thing that annoyed me about this dungeon, is that Navi feels like she has to tell you everything. It's like, Navi, we can figure out how to push a block. It's just A. It's not that hard. But for some reason, we gotta learn about it. That's just something that always got on my nerves. I mean, Navi is not a help a lot of time. But I wanna say, in one of my old videos, I put her on my list of the top 10 Legend of Zelda items of all time. Because she's just that good. But who knows? I haven't watched that video in a while. So And see, like, rooms like this, they're so stupidly easy. They kind of... Like, this whole dungeon in general is stupid easy. There's a trick to beating him. Now you ain't gotta wait for him to turn around. Now I can just grab the stick, put it on fire, and burn out this cobweb. So another room in this dungeon where you might spend like 30 seconds in at tops. That's what I don't like about this dungeon. It's just so freaking easy. You can beat it so quick. And it's like, okay, we're pretty much done. And there's a way, I've never been able to do it, but you can jump from this block to that fire. When I say it's that fire, and light it without pushing the block down. But every time I try, I fail. Epically, over and over again. It's bad. Nobody wants to watch me fail. So, we're just gonna light it from over here. And we're gonna do our thing. Roll. Pull our sword out so that way we don't lose that stick. Let's open the door, and then part 2 will immediately begin with us fighting Goma. So if you've enjoyed the video, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff you've probably heard a million times. And I guess check out the other videos on this channel because we're in the midst of our 300 video year. So if you want to be a part of that, 300 videos, a lot of videos, lots of videos, then subscribe because you don't want to miss that. Check out the other videos because they're all going to be relatively decent, I suppose. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, all that good stuff, and peace out, home skillets.